I shouldn't be telling you this. In fact, if I had any sense left, I'd shut this down right now, delete everything, and pretend none of it ever happened. But I can't. Someone has to know. Someone has to hear it before the same thing happens to you. There's a game that only exists at 3 a.m. Not before, not after, only then. It doesn't show up in app stores or on Steam. You won't find it in any archive or torrent list, no matter how deep you search. It waits for you, like it waited for me. And once it appears, once you touch it, you're trapped. So let me start with a warning. Don't look for it. Don't refresh your browser at 3 a.m. hoping it shows up. Don't even think about typing in what you think might be the name. Because once you see it, once you play, you can't undo what follows. I'm not saying this for dramatic effect. This isn't a creepypasta to get clicks or a fun little scary bedtime story. I wish it were. I wish this was fiction. But the truth is, I don't know how much longer I have before it notices I'm talking. Before it decides I've said too much. You're probably wondering what I mean by it. And that's the reason I'm still here, still typing, still recording this message into the dark. I need someone else to know, someone else to carry this in case I don't make it. Maybe that'll be you. Maybe you'll walk away smarter than I did. Or maybe, just maybe, curiosity will eat at you the way it ate at me. Because I'll explain everything, how I found it, what it did when I played, and why I may not survive long enough to upload this. But you have to listen closely. Every detail matters. Every choice I made has a consequence. And if you ever stumble across it, you'll need to remember what I'm about to say. It didn't start with blood or static or screams. It didn't even feel like a horror story at first. It started like any other night. It really did start like any other night, which is why I didn't think twice about it. Nights blur together when you live the kind of life I do. Sleep when you can, game when you can't, and spend way too much time convincing yourself that just one more match won't ruin tomorrow. Spoiler, it always does. I've been on a streak of late nights that week. Nothing unusual for me. Insomnia has been a loyal companion for years, and caffeine is the closest thing I've got to a religion. My desk was littered with empty cans of Monster, the glow of my monitor the only light in the room. It was the same routine I'd repeated 100 times before. Game, Discord, YouTube rabbit holes, the usual descent into digital distraction. There was nothing ominous about it. I wasn't summoning demons or digging through forbidden sites. Not yet. Just another tired night with headphones clamped tight, chatting with friends, and trying not to think about how quiet my apartment gets when the world outside falls asleep. Dude, my friend Marcus typed into Discord, his profile picture flickering to life. You still up? Don't tell me you're pulling another all-nighter. Bro, I'm nocturnal at this point, I shot back. Sleep is for the weak. And the employed. He spammed the laughing emoji, but then his tone shifted. Hey, speaking of, careful out there tonight. There's been a bunch of weird files floating around. Links popping up where they shouldn't be. Some sketchy stuff. I smirked at the screen. What? Like cursed chain emails for the modern age. Click here and die in 7 days. I'm serious, Marcus insisted. People are saying they've been finding games that don't exist. Stuff that's not supposed to be on the web at all. Like, you can't trace where it comes from. I laughed, but a little unease crept in anyway. Marcus wasn't the type to fall for creepypasta rumors, and if he was even half serious, it meant he'd seen something unsettling enough to bring it up. Relax, man. Worst case, I catch a virus and finally have an excuse to buy a new PC. I joked. Just don't click on anything random. Trust me, some things aren't worth finding. His message sat on the screen longer than usual, as if he was waiting for me to argue. Then he logged off, leaving me with nothing but the quiet hum of my fan and the faint ringing in my ears. For a while, I did exactly what I always do. Queued up a few rounds of a shooter, muted the toxic lobby, and lost myself in the rhythm of respawns and reloads. Hours slipped by. My clock crept past midnight, then past 1, then 2. By then I was too wired to even pretend to sleep, and Discord was a graveyard. My friends were gone, the servers quiet. That's when I fell into my usual bad habit, late-night forum crawling. It's like sleepwalking, but digital. One link leads to another, and suddenly you're reading decade-old threads on sites you don't remember joining. Most of it's junk, busted download links, conspiracy rants, people arguing about games that no one plays anymore. It was mindless, the kind of internet archaeology I did to fill silence. Nothing out of the ordinary. Until it was. Because in the middle of that half-conscious scrolling between the broken links and spam posts, I saw something that shouldn't have been there. A link. Plain, simple, almost invisible. But the timestamp said 3 a.m. exactly. And that's when I saw it. A link that shouldn't exist. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Forums glitch all the time. Broken formatting, dead links, spam bots posting nonsense at random hours. But this wasn't that. This was deliberate. The post was bare bones. No flashy graphics, no desperate plea for clicks, not even a username I recognized. Just a single hyperlink with no description. Its timestamp burned into my screen. 3 a.m. on the dot. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and refreshed the page. The link was gone. Confused, I refreshed again. Still nothing. Just the usual junk. I thought maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe my sleep-deprived brain had finally started hallucinating hyperlinks. But then, curiosity kicked in. Curiosity always does. I checked the thread's edit history. Nothing. No record of the post. It was as if it had never been there at all. That should have been the end of it. I should have shrugged, laughed at myself, and gone back to wasting time. But my brain wouldn't let it go. Something about that timestamp. It was too perfect, too exact. 3 o'clock. Not a second before or after. So I waited. I sat there, staring at my clock as the minutes crawled by. At 2:59, my hand hovered over the refresh button, my heart beating harder than it had any right to. It was ridiculous, sitting in a dark room, acting like a ghost story was about to pop out of my monitor. Then 3 o'clock hit. I refreshed, and there it was. The same link, sitting innocently in the same spot, as though it had never disappeared. My breath caught in my throat. But before I could even react, the seconds ticked over to 3:01. I refreshed again, and the link was gone. It was like a magic trick. Appear, vanish, repeat. I tested it again the next night. Same thing. The link only appeared at 3 o'clock, and it was gone within 60 seconds. The exclusivity of it, it gnawed at me. It was like being invited into a club you weren't supposed to know existed. And the more I tested it, the stranger it became. I tried screenshotting it. Nothing. My computer froze every time I hit print screen. I tried copying the URL. My clipboard stayed empty. I even whipped out my phone and tried to take a picture, but the screen stayed black like the link didn't exist in the photo. You couldn't share it. You couldn't prove it. You either saw it for yourself, or you didn't. That was when I realized it wasn't just some ordinary file dump. Whoever, or whatever, had made this didn't want it spreading. I should have stopped. God, I should have stopped. But the exclusivity was a hook buried too deep to ignore. The link wasn't just bait, it was a dare. And I've never been good at walking away from dares. When I finally clicked it, my screen didn't open a web page. Instead, a small file appeared in my downloads folder. No name, just a blank icon. No size listed, either, which was impossible. Files have to take up space. This one didn't. I stared at it for a long time, waiting for my antivirus to scream at me. Nothing happened. The file just sat there, pulsing faintly like it was breathing. I hovered my mouse over it, debating. That was when I remembered Marcus's warning. Weird files floating around. Don't click on anything random. For a second, I almost closed everything. Almost. But then a thought hit me. If the link vanished every night, maybe the file would vanish too. Maybe I'd never get another chance. That's the thing about forbidden knowledge. It always feels like now or never. And never is unbearable when you know now is one click away. I don't know what I expected. A virus, maybe. A jump scare. Something cheap. Something that would let me laugh it off and say I'd been paranoid for nothing. What I got instead was silence. The file unpacked itself with no fanfare, no loading bar, no confirmation message. A small window popped up on my desktop. Black background. White text. Welcome to the game. That was it. No title screen, no developer credits, no menu. Just those words and a blinking cursor waiting for me to do something. I should have walked away right then. I should have powered down, wiped the drive, anything. But you know how it goes. When something feels like it shouldn't exist, it's impossible to resist. And here's the part that still chills me. I later learned I wasn't the first person to try it. Others had found the link before me. Others had played. And not everyone came back. But in that moment, alone at my desk with the glow of my monitor searing my tired eyes, I didn't know any of that. All I knew was that the game had found me. And I downloaded it anyway. When I launched the file, I half expected nothing to happen. Maybe a corrupted screen, maybe a crash. Instead, my monitor flickered once, and the room filled with a soft electronic hum, like an old CRT television warming up. A loading bar appeared, built from clunky white pixels on a black background. Retro, innocent, almost charming in its simplicity. I relaxed a little. Maybe this really was just some underground indie project, creepy marketing tactics and all. The kind of thing you'd find written up in a Reddit thread with people trading theories about secret ARGs. My nerves settled as blocky letters spelled across the screen. Press any key to begin. I tapped space. The screen shifted to a pixelated landscape. It reminded me of early RPGs, green fields, blocky trees, a tiny village rendered in squares. The music was tinny, looping, faintly off-key, but not unsettling. Just cheap. Okay, I muttered to myself, leaning back. So, weird hidden download, but still just a game. I moved my character, a squat little avatar with no face, toward the village. The movement was stiff, like every step dragged through molasses. Houses were lined up neatly, doors blinking as if they could be opened. So far, so ordinary. But then I noticed the first oddity. The villagers. Each NPC was identical. Same square body, same blinking pixels for eyes. But when I clicked on one, the dialog box didn't just spout random filler text. It said, "Hello, my name." I froze. That wasn't my username. That was my actual name. I hadn't typed it in. The game hadn't asked me to register or log in. There was no way it should know that. Coincidence, I muttered under my breath, though my voice wavered. Common name, right? Just a guess. But when I clicked another villager, the dialogue changed. "You're playing alone tonight." My stomach nodded. I clicked another. "You shouldn't be here." I leaned closer to the screen, searching for glitches in the pixels, some sign this was a joke. But the villagers' little blocky heads followed me as I moved, all of them turning in sync, their tiny eyes locked on my faceless avatar. The music wavered, too, still looping, but now off by half a beat, like a record dragging against the needle. I tried to exit out. Nothing. Alt plus F4. Escape. Control plus Alt plus Del. The game refused to close. The villagers started moving. Not randomly, not program pathing. They moved toward me, their steps jerky but coordinated. A crowd forming, circling, boxing me in. My heart pounded against my ribs as dialogue boxes flooded the screen faster than I could click. "Why did you open it? It knows you now. You can't stop." And then, without me pressing anything, the game forced my avatar to walk into the largest house at the center of the village. The inside wasn't pixelated anymore. Instead, the walls were textured, photorealistic, like someone had taken photographs of a real house and crudely stitched them into the game. And worse, the house looked familiar. It looked like mine. The same crooked picture frame in the hall. The same peeling wallpaper in the corner I'd been too lazy to fix. The longer I stared, the more I recognized small details. The scratches on my desk, the stain on my carpet, things no one outside could ever know. I whispered, "What the hell?" Text scrolled across the screen on its own. "Do you like your house?" I didn't type anything. The cursor blinked, waiting. "Would you like to see who else is inside?" Before I could react, a door opened on the screen. My avatar entered a room that mirrored my own bedroom, down to the mess of soda cans beside the monitor. And in the pixelated bed, someone was lying there. Someone who looked like me. Blocky. Yes, rendered in crude pixels, but undeniably me. Same hair, same hoodie, same posture. The me on the bed sat up. Slowly, its head twisted too far, snapping into place until the pixelated face stared directly into the camera. The screen stuttered, pixels bending into a grotesque grin that stretched beyond what the sprite should have been able to display. The music warped into static. Text appeared again. "You are not alone." I pushed back from my desk, my chair screeching. My reflection in the monitor seemed too dark, too solid, as though someone stood just behind me. "Shut it down," I muttered. "Shut it down, shut it down." But the game wasn't listening. The doppelganger on screen began to move, jerky at first, then smooth. It left the pixelated bedroom and wandered the halls of the house. My house. It stopped at a door, the same door that led to the room I was sitting in right now. The sprite raised its hand, knocked once, and from behind me, in the silence of my apartment, I swore I heard it. A single knock. I spun around so fast my neck cracked. Nothing. Just the dark, empty room. When I turned back, new text waited. "Keep playing, or it comes in." My palms were slick, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I hovered over my keyboard, every instinct screaming to pull the plug. But I didn't. Curiosity has teeth, and it sank them deep. I kept playing. The doppelganger guided me deeper into the house that shouldn't exist in pixels, pointing toward a basement door I didn't even have in real life. I followed, unwilling, until the screen faded to black. And then new words burned bright. Level 1 complete. I sagged in my chair, sucking in a shaky breath. Relief hit, absurd and hollow. It was just a game. Just a game. But the text wasn't finished. "You are ready for the next level. You can't leave now." That was when it hit me. The first level hadn't been the story. It hadn't even been the trap. It was just the invitation. I didn't know it yet, but every step forward was a step deeper into something I'd never escape. Then my screen went black, and I heard something behind me. When the screen went black, I thought maybe the game had finally crashed. Relief washed over me, thin but real, and I sat there staring at my reflection in the dead monitor. My chest heaved like I'd just sprinted a mile. Then the overhead light flickered. Just once, a quick stutter, but enough to wrench my stomach into a knot. I glanced up at the bulb, waiting for it to steady, telling myself it was nothing. My apartment's wiring was old, prone to hiccups. But the flicker repeated, perfectly timed with the faint electronic hum still spilling from my speakers. My PC was off. The monitor was black, but the sound hadn't stopped. I leaned closer. It wasn't static. It was breathing. "Okay," I whispered, forcing a laugh. "Too much caffeine. I'm imagining things." That was when my phone buzzed against the desk. I jumped so hard it almost toppled the kin beside me. The screen lit up, unknown number. For a second I just stared, frozen. Then, against every rational bone in my body, I answered. "Hello." Static crackled at the other end. Not silence, not background noise. Static, like the kind you get from tuning into a dead channel. Then a voice slipped through, flat and genderless, like it had been filtered through a dozen broken speakers. "Keep playing." I hung up so fast my thumb stung. My pulse hammered against my throat. The phone buzzed again. A text this time. Same unknown number. "Keep playing, or it comes in." My hand shook as I set the phone down like it was radioactive. I backed away from the desk, every nerve screaming. Coincidence? Some kind of prank? No. No one could time a prank that perfectly. No one could connect a game that shouldn't exist with my phone, my lights, my name. The game knew where I lived. I thought about Marcus's warning, about the weird files floating around. I thought about how he'd logged off so suddenly, how his messages had lingered on the screen like something final. Trying to distract myself, I went back to the forum where I'd found the link. Maybe someone else had written about this. Maybe I wasn't the first idiot to click. At first, nothing. Threads about abandoned mods, cracked software, nonsense memes. But buried deep, pages back, I found them, fragmented posts, barely coherent, like they'd been typed in panic. "Don't finish level 2. It sees through the screen. If it calls you, don't answer." The usernames were all deleted. Accounts scrubbed clean. No replies. No follow-ups. Just warnings left to rot. I scrolled faster, desperate, and stumbled on one last thread. The title read, "Anyone else lose time?" The body of the post was short. I played. It was 3:10 when I stopped. When I looked up, the sun was rising. Whole hour's gone. Don't let it get past level 2. Please. None of us come back after that. No replies. No poster history. It was the last thing they ever wrote. I sat back, trembling, trying to convince myself it was just a hoax, just some coordinated ARG with really dedicated actors. But the silence in my apartment pressed heavy against me, broken only by that low, steady hum from my speakers. Then the knock came again. 3 slow raps against my bedroom door. I froze. I hadn't locked it. And I lived alone. For the longest moment of my life, I didn't breathe. My ears strained for the sound of footsteps, but there was nothing. Just the faint static hiss that seemed to crawl along my walls. Finally, gathering every shred of courage I had, I stood and swung the door open. Empty hallway, but the smell hit me. A faint whiff of ozone, like burnt electronics. The same smell that had filled the room when the game started. I stumbled back, slamming the door shut. My phone buzzed again, screen lighting up in the dark. Another text. It's waiting. Level 2. I dropped the phone. It clattered across the floor, still glowing, still buzzing as more texts stacked one after another until the screen was a wall of demands. Keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. I wanted to run, to grab my keys and bolt into the night. But something colder than fear anchored me to the room. Curiosity. That same gnawing need to know. If the warnings were true, if none of them had ever come back, then maybe there was still a chance I could. Maybe I could see level 2, survive, and tell someone else how to beat it. It wasn't bravery. It was desperation dressed up as courage. I sat back down, my chair creaking beneath me, and stared at the black monitor. As if on cue, it flickered to life. The words glowed against the screen, white and sharp. Level 2 ready. My throat went dry. My finger hovered over the keyboard, sweat slicking the keys. I should have stopped. God help me, I should have stopped. But I had to know what was waiting on level 2. I knew what I was doing wasn't smart. Every rational part of my brain screamed at me to walk away, delete the file, burn the computer, call the police, anything. But by then, my curiosity had grown teeth, sharp and insistent. Level 2 wasn't just another game level. It was a promise, a dare, and I had to see it through. I booted the file. The monitor flickered again, but this time, it didn't start with a retro load screen. The moment I clicked start, I was staring at an exact replica of my apartment. Not in pixels, not in crude blocky sprites, but photorealistic, down to the scratches on my desk, the crooked frame above the couch, even the ring stains on my coffee table. I leaned closer, heart hammering. I'd never seen graphics this detailed, this impossibly precise. I moved my avatar forward. Each step made the air in my room feel heavier. A hum pulsed from the speakers, low and vibrating, as if the room itself had become part of the game. Then, the first NPC appeared. Not a villager this time. A figure, blurred but familiar, standing in my kitchen doorway. I squinted, and my stomach dropped. It was Marcus, or at least, a version of him. The figure's pixelated eyes glittered unnaturally, and when it spoke, the text appeared in the same font as before. You shouldn't be here, my name. I froze. My friend was at home, hundreds of miles away. The game knew he existed. Worse, it knew our chats, our jokes, everything I'd ever typed to him online. I realized then, the game wasn't just observing. It was learning, adapting, anticipating. As I explored, other anomalies appeared. A Discord window popped up mid-game. Messages I hadn't typed blinking on the screen. Stop. Turn back. It's too late. You know what happens next. I clicked on them. Nothing responded. It was as if the game had pulled data from my real digital life, repurposed it to frighten me. I heard whispers in my headphones, soft and distorted, words I couldn't quite make out. Sometimes it sounded like my own voice, other times Marcus's, other times a dozen voices layered over each other, warning me, mocking me, pleading with me to stop. I began to wonder if this wasn't a game at all. Was it some kind of ritual? A government experiment? Something supernatural? The thought was ridiculous, and yet, the impossibility of it made perfect sense. Nothing else could explain what I was seeing. I moved from room to room in the virtual apartment. Each step mirrored reality. I noticed dust on the same shelf, a pen rolling across the floor in the game as it had in my room minutes ago. It was impossible. The game wasn't just simulating my world, it was rewriting it. Every object, every detail, whispered that it knew me. The more I saw, the more I realized my choices were no longer my own. A door I hadn't clicked on opened anyway, revealing a darkened hallway I didn't have in real life. A soft humming came from it, beckoning me forward. I wanted to stop. I wanted to shut it down, rip the cord out, do anything. But my avatar moved on, as though compelled by something stronger than willpower. And every movement taught me more. Conversations I'd had days ago, secrets I'd never shared online, memories the game shouldn't have access to. There were moments of dark humor, almost cruel in their timing. A pixelated cat I'd never owned strolled across the floor, paused, and stared at me with unervingly lifelike green eyes before fading into static. A framed photo of my family on the wall melted into smeared colors, rearranging itself into faces I didn't recognize. I realized I was no longer in control. The game anticipated my curiosity, guided it, punished it, and rewarded it in equal measure. It was playful, teasing me with glimpses of truths I shouldn't know, yet relentless, forcing me deeper into the nightmare it had built. Time lost meaning. Hours could have passed in seconds. I felt dizzy, drained, and yet unable to leave. Every door opened a secret, every message a warning I couldn't ignore. And then I saw it. Another figure, more menacing, waiting at the end of a hall that shouldn't exist in my apartment. I froze. The game had brought me here for a reason. I knew, deep down, that what waited at the end of that hallway wasn't just another level. It was something else. Something real, something dangerous. And then, the screen flashed one last message before the figure stepped forward. You know too much. You can't go back. My heart raced. Sweat slicked my palms. Every instinct screamed at me to log off, unplug, escape, but I couldn't stop watching. I couldn't stop moving forward. Because at that moment, I understood the terrifying truth. The game wasn't just simulating my world. It was controlling it, rewriting it, preparing me for something I wasn't ready to face. And then, I reached the boss. The days after level 2 weren't normal. They weren't even close. I tried to return to my routine: breakfast, coffee, work emails, scrolling through social media. But everything felt off. The edges of reality seemed frayed, like the world had been compressed and stretched in ways I couldn't quite articulate. I'd catch glimpses of static in the corner of my vision. A flicker on the TV when no one was touching it. A faint hum from the speakers when my computer was powered down. I would swear I heard the tinny looped music from the first level drifting through the walls, a memory echoing in physical space. My apartment was quiet, but not safe. Not anymore. Even mundane tasks were tainted with unease. Washing dishes, brushing my teeth, checking messages. Every moment carried a tension I couldn't shake. It was subtle at first, then oppressive. My reflection in the mirror looked like me, but sometimes the eyes weren't quite right, lingering too long, twitching just slightly, as if aware of something I wasn't. I tried to talk to Marcus about it, to rationalize the creeping paranoia, but he didn't respond. His Discord account had vanished. Other friends who might have joked about the link were suddenly absent online, vanished from forums and servers alike. And then it hit me. I wasn't alone in this. Others had played, and some were still in the game, trapped somewhere I couldn't reach. The thought made my stomach turn. I found old forum posts, fragmented warnings scrawled by people whose accounts had been deleted long ago. Don't finish level 2. You won't come back. Their words echoed in my mind. The absence of replies, the silent accounts, it was all a warning. It was all proof. At night, the sounds returned. Not always the same. Sometimes soft static, sometimes whispers, sometimes music or a knock. Always enough to make my heart stutter, my mind spiral. Every shadow became a threat, every creak a signal. Sleep was a joke, replaced by a tense, half-conscious vigil. I started documenting everything, writing down events, noting the small anomalies. Doors that hadn't been open, objects moved, flickers of movement in the corner of my room. I needed evidence, even if no one could see it. I needed proof I was still sane, or at least sane enough to survive. And yet, despite all the fear, a small, dangerous part of me remained obsessed with the game. It had rewritten my understanding of curiosity. I wanted to peek, even just for a second, to see if the next level was waiting. That's how it traps you. You think you're safe, that it's behind you, but the pull is endless, cyclical. If you've seen that link at 3 a.m., please don't click it. Or if you already have, comment below. I need to know I'm not alone. I need to know someone else can confirm this. Someone else can understand before it finds me again. Because the thing about this game isn't just the levels or the graphics or the NPCs that mimic you. It's the way it bleeds into your life. The way it makes reality feel fragile, malleable. And the worst part? It doesn't stop. Some players never finish. Some are stuck playing forever, looping through their own lives as if the world itself is part of the program. I catch glimpses of them sometimes, reflected in screens I don't own, images of faces that weren't there before. I don't know if they're warnings or prisoners, or if I'll be next. Everything feels like a setup for the next cycle. The ordinary life, the normal routines, the quiet moments. They're just a lull before the game asserts itself again. I can feel it, a slow crawl, creeping into the edges of my perception. And I know one thing for certain. The next person who sees that link might be you. If you're hearing this, it means the game found me. And if it found me, it will find you next. I'm sitting here in the dark, phone balanced on the edge of my desk, recording this before I lose the chance. My laptop's lid is closed, power light off, yet the faint hum of the speakers has returned. That low, crawling sound you can't quite tell is mechanical or alive. I haven't touched the keyboard since last night. I haven't even dared look at the screen. But a few minutes ago, the machine booted itself. No login, no prompt, just the same black screen with white text, waiting for me, waiting for level 3. I can feel it even now. That pull, that static crawling at the edges of my hearing. It's like being on the verge of remembering a nightmare. You know it's there, but the harder you try to recall, the deeper it sinks its claws. I'm trying to keep my voice steady, but my hands won't stop shaking. It's not just the fear anymore. It's something else. Something pressing against me, heavy and patient. Like I'm already inside it. This isn't just a game. I think. No, I know it's a ritual. A trap dressed up in pixels and code. It learns you. It copies you. It builds a version of you it can keep. Every time you play, you give it more to work with. Your movements, your choices, your secrets. And then one day, it stops needing the screen. I'm looking at my reflection right now in the black monitor. It's not me. Not exactly. My mouth's still, but the reflection's whispering. I can't hear the words, only the hiss. It's waiting for me to get closer. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't even know if I'll still be here when this upload finishes. All I know is this, the link's still out there. If you're scrolling at 3 a.m. and it appears, don't click it. Don't even hover over it. Burn your computer if you have to. And if you already clicked, if you're already playing, comment below. Tell me what you've seen. Tell me how far you've gotten. I need to know who's still real. The screen just flickered. I didn't touch anything. It's showing my room again. Only it's not quite right. The walls are closer, the shadows longer. My avatar is sitting where I'm sitting, head tilted just like mine, waiting. It typed something. On its own. My name. And then, level 3 loading. The sound in the room's changing. Not a hum anymore. Breathing. Slow, deliberate. Behind me. I have to. Static. If you're hearing this. Long hiss, rising pitch. It means the game. Crackling. It'll find you next. Cut.